Welcome to Louisville. The Florida Gators are here. Mary Wise's team with a win in Kansas to earn a spot here in Louisville against Cami Minor and the Stanford Cardinal. Kevin Hambley's team, winners of 11 straight. Cool, ready to go. Do they have an answer against Kennedy Martin? Not many teams have had an answer this year. And when it comes to Stanford, they are very familiar with being in this spot, getting closer and closer to a national semifinal. We are ready for that meeting on the court right now. The first serve to be delivered by Elena Ogilvy. It's Stanford and Florida, match number 1 of 2 here at Freedom Hall, and we are underway in Louisville. Alexis Stuckey getting the start at center here for Florida today. Outstanding down the stretch in the win against Kansas. Off hands, and the first points go to Stanford.
For Florida, starting with Stuckey is a statement. She finished that matchup against Kansas, one that Florida upset Kansas in, and they're going to go with her again.
Ogilvy. Here is Stuckey setting it for Martin. The block. McKissick's the libero, longtime libero for Florida. Martin goes long on that attack, and 2 quick points for the Cardinal.
The biggest key for Stanford coming in this match is, can they contain Kennedy Martin? And if not, can they contain everyone else around her? Because you have to do either one of the two to beat this Gator team.
Martin with those 33 kills on 71 swings against Kansas. Ogilvy trying to get a run going here. Stuckey will set it to the right side, and that's the other Martin, Izzy Martin, who gets the first point for the Gators.
Izzy Martin is the X factor for Florida. Kennedy Martin goes off every single match, but if Izzy Martin can go off, it adds that layer that is very difficult to stop when you've got the team firing from the right side and the left side.
No familial point for Stanford, so they side out, and they'll head back to serve with Jordan Harvey. Harvey, the sophomore, second team all-conference selection in the ACC. Stanford finishing out their first season in the ACC after so many years in the Pac-12. And Sammy Francis playing her best volleyball of her career because she's healthy in her final year of volleyball.
Finally, in this 4th season, Francis has had a fully healthy season. And talking to Hamley in the beginning of the year, he said, you guys don't even know how high the ceiling is for this player when she's healthy.
Another good serve. This is a good serving team. Kevin Hambley wants them to be aggressive so they get the ace. They've got an early 4-point lead and an early timeout called by Florida. So a very good start for the Cardinal. Opening moments here at Freedom Hall, Stanford on top. Louisville hosted here at this historic building back in 2021 in that regional. It's the same floor from the Yum Center. They just brought it 5 miles out near the airport, out near the fairgrounds. Out of the Florida timeout, attack for Amaya Thomas, and the Gators get the point.
That's a big response right out of that timeout for this Florida team. Mary Wise gathering her team and making sure that they were good to go right out of the gates. That's what you have to do against a good Cardinal team in Stanford.
Here is Ellie McKissick in her 5th year as Florida's libero, serving to Rubin. And Rubin gets set on the attack. The defense there. The reset for Rubin. Stuckey will set it back for Kennedy Martin. Rubin, big swing. Elia Rubin, first team all-conference in the ACC. Averaging nearly 4 kills a set.
Already we're seeing the defensive intensity really picked up on Stanford's side. Cami Minor laying out for 2 plays during that rally alone.
Served by Rubin to Izzy Martin. Here's AC Fitzpatrick, and Ogilvy almost got there but could not. Fitzpatrick, who missed time late in the season, the final 4 matches with a knee problem, returned for the NCAA tournament. 8 kills and 6 blocks in that win over Kansas. Kennedy Martin back to serve. Center looks for the kill. Florida was ready for it from Minor. Francis
Earlier in that rally, Cami Minor making her presence known up front. If she is in the front row, Florida has to identify that early on. It was a good job of defending it right away, but even though it didn't go down, it establishes Minor as a threat. So the next time that ball is tight, Florida has to respect her.
Taylor, you're the freshman from Temple City, California, comes on. Good aggressive serve. This is an aggressive serving team. Back row attack from the aggressive Kennedy Martin.
It's just highlight reel plays all the time. Kennedy Martin is that kind of player. Front row, back row, it doesn't matter. She is taking monster swings from wherever she is on the court. And Stuckey, she's gonna keep feeding her the ball.
Martin second in Division I at 5.6 kills a set. Emily Canan to serve. Minor sets it back to the freshman middle, Lizzie Andrew, for the kill.
Lizzie Andrew's been so impressive so far this season. Head coach Kevin Hamley saying she was everything that we thought that she was going to be coming in. She's a massive offensive weapon for this team that they love to use when she's up there. 8
kills now for Andrew in the postseason. Minor serve. Stuckey. Freshman Jayla August, 6'2" out of Houston, gets the kill.
6'2", normally in the tournament you think of as kind of an undersized middle, which is crazy to think about. But with the hops that she has, she touches 10'8" as a freshman. Think of how high she's going to get up the next 3 years when she's a senior.
Had a career high 15 kills in that victory at Kansas. Park Kurt, freshman on the outside, there for the block. Got hands on it. Rubin kept it alive. Great placement by Jordan Harvey.
Beautiful court vision on Stanford's side, and that doesn't happen without an incredible up. Rubin laying out for this ball, and then it's Harvey seeing the defense and just placing it where those players weren't.
We talked about the efficiency for Stanford right at the top of the show. They're hitting at 545 right now. Stuckey, tough one for Izzy Martin to handle, got it over. And that one cut back on Harvey in a hurry. Point Florida.
Florida's going to have to continue to up the defensive intensity, especially from a blocking standpoint. Florida is not known for their blocks or really backcourt defense, but you have to be good defensively against a really ultra-efficient team like Stanford.
Here is Alexis Stuckey to serve. Block off the antenna, point Stanford.
Stanford runs a lot of these overload plays, meaning when you have 2 hitters near the same zone. In this situation, a middle running right next to the outside, it really puts a lot of stress in the block for Florida.
Stanford block is there. Canan over. Minor sets the middle. Francis.
Now you give Stanford a free ball, that's going to happen every single time. When Stanford's in system and has 3 options on attack, it is so difficult to know who's going to get it, especially when Francis is running up the gut through the middle. She's going to be one-on-one every time.
Stuckey to Kennedy Martin, found the spot for the kill.
Beautiful swing for Martin, just going to that back deep corner. This is one of the best shots that you can have as an outside or right side attacker, going for that opposite deep corner because it splits the defenders back there.
6'6" sophomore from Fort Mill, South Carolina, 33 kills against Kansas. She's got a couple here in the first set. Harvey missed the mark, and it's a point for Florida. So slow start for Mary Wise's team, took the early timeout at 5-1. 1,068 in her career, 38 years, 987 alone in Gainesville. This is the first time that Florida's been able to put together consecutive points. Stanford was at 100% on side out before these back-to-back points for the Gators.
The biggest thing for Stanford has been their ability to control the pass, and Florida hasn't been serving tough enough. They have to find a way to knock Stanford out of their rhythm.
Mixing up the serve, short serve there. Here's Rubin. McKissick, it's going to be really tight. Hit the antenna. And Stanford's the team that hit it off the pin. So it's a point for Florida, and for the first time, the Gators have some momentum.
All of a sudden, just chipping away at that lead off a really smart play from Kennedy Martin. Really tight pass, just pushed it right off the block.
4-0 run for the Gators. as Izzy Martin continues the service run. Rubin looks to end it, but the block is there. Kennedy Martin says, not while I'm here.
That's a perfect example of the serve working with the block. They knocked Stanford out of system. That made it a really easy read for the right side and middle to go up and close and be massive on that.
Rubin and Martin again there defensively to deny Stanford. 6-0 run, and a Stanford called the timeouts. Florida fell behind early, but they've taken a lead here in the first set.
Last few matches that Taylor Parks has started, and she has been massive when Stuckey was out. But now Stuckey getting the start, that's a statement for Florida saying we want to go with our player that we know can win us matches, just like she did in that turnaround against Kansas to get them the win in the second round.
Saw the breakdown, but Parks has twice as many total assists as Stuckey on the season. Just to give you an idea, she has been the primary center, but if Stuckey is healthy, she's one of the best setters in the country. And right now, Florida is clicking. 8 assists for Stuckey. What is working now during this 7-0 run?
The biggest difference has been the service pressure. They're finding ways to keep the pressure on Stanford. Up until that point, Stanford was passing 80% of the time in system. That is an insane number. Now they're finding ways to knock them out, and the defense has stepped up.
Finally, Stanford is able to get Izzy Martin off the service line, so it goes into the books as a 7-0 run that put Florida on top by 2. Stanford's largest lead, 5 so far here in the first set. Here is Stuckey. Stuckey back for Kennedy Martin, and once again she finds the opening. 6th kill already for Kennedy Martin.
And of those 6, it feels like all of them have been clean kills, meaning they're just hitting the floor. They're not hitting a player before they hit the floor. That tells you how good of court vision Kennedy Martin has to see the open spot and hit the open spot.
6 kills, 2 blocks, 2 digs, hitting .556 so far, just 1 attack error.
We're not even halfway through the first set.
We're not even halfway through her career, and she's closing in on 1,000 kills. Serve received by Rubin. That one is going to be off the mark. No touch, point Stanford.
This is a swing that you'll see a lot from Macy Fitzpatrick on the outside, number 0 in black. She's an undersized outside, just stands at 5'11", so she has to go swing for high hands. So oftentimes you'll see her miss that ball out of bounds. That's a good swing because you're going for fingertips.
I always remember the line Mary Wise. She's an undersized outside who likes to blast the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of blasting the ball, there's August.
Jayla August has been so impressive this season. When Florida's in system and they can get that middle attack going, they are high flyers, and you see Jordan Harvey coming in on that one.
SEC Freshman of the Year with their 2nd kill. Back row attack. Rubin was ready for it. And Martin was trying to recover, and Stanford, heady play. They found the spot where she wasn't, or any Gator was for that part.
Really good transition defense on Stanford's side. Rubin is making play after play in the backcourt to set up Minor in the perfect position to run a balanced offense.
Freshman Taylor Yu back on to serve. Stuckey to Fitzpatrick. Good save by Harvey, but this is going to head out of play. And it'll be a point for Florida.
Florida finding ways to get it done, keeping chaos on Stanford's side, trying to knock them out of their rhythm.
There's Canan back to serve. Had a couple of aces in the win against Kansas. 28 on the season, good for the time for 4th on the team. Minor gets the center done.
What Minor does so well is she's not just taking it over, but she's taking it over with authority. Watch how she slams this ball down. There's no question she's going up and taking it over, but she brings that strength on with it.
Minor back to serve for the Cardinal. Stuckey to Izzy Martin for the kill.
Such an impressive cut shot from Izzy Martin on the outside. She takes that right thumb, brings it down. That allows her to hit a nasty cross-court cut shot inside the 10-foot line.
Jayla August will head off. Emerson Hoyle will come on to serve. Ogilvy kept it up. Minor for Kurt. Ooh, that's off the face of Emerson Hoyle. She's up quickly, and she'll head to the bench. They'll check on her as she heads off as well, just to make sure she's all right.
She got up so quick from that, because that was not an easy driven ball. She's tough.
It's one of those things like, I can taste a little blood. Oh, it's on. It's time. It's NCAA.
Don't show your opponent you're in pain.
That's right. The softball or baseball equivalent is rub some dirt on it and go down the first base. She just headed right off to the bench. So Stuckey back to serve right now. For Florida to knock off Stanford, to pull another upset here, what has to happen for the Gators here today? Does it start on the service line?
It starts on the service line. It's serve and defense. They have to play one of the best defensive matches that we've seen this season.
A mistake by the Cardinal. They were mistake-free for the first 10 points or so of this match, but a giveaway there.
The difference has been Florida's been able to turn up the service pressure. A really well-placed ball forces that overpass, and that's an easy put down.
Stuckey floats it. Minor sets it. Harvey kills it. I was pretty confident, but when I see Ellie McKissick flying around, maybe I should just hold it for a moment.
If there's a McKissick back there, there's a way. She's going to find a way to keep that ball alive.
There's a way. That should be on a t-shirt, if it isn't already. Ogilvy. Stuckey to Izzy Martin off hands. Florida just humming now on offense. First to 20 here in the first.
Izzy Martin's doing a phenomenal job. Stuckey's getting her in really great positions to lead her on these attacks, and she is taking confident swings.
Remember, Izzy Martin had that great service run earlier when Florida went on a 7-0 run. Can she put together another run here? Rubin goes the long way to Harvey. How about that set by Elia Rubin fighting Jordan Harvey?
Elia Rubin is playing so hard, whether it's backcourt defensively, putting a lot into her swings, or here just making sure she's executing the small things, doing a really nice job for Stanford as they try to claw their way back in this.
Harvey leading the team in aces on the season, also leads them in service errors. And a quick job done by Florida. Maya Thomas with the kill.
That all started with a perfect pass right on the money. That allows this middle to be ran. A one-on-one situation. Thomas is putting this down. Beautiful give and go from Stuckey.
Stuckey looks like she did when she came in. She didn't play in the first match of the NCAA tournament against NC State. She didn't play the first 2 sets against Kansas, a service error here. She played sets 3 through 5. She ended up with 40 assists in those 3 sets. And look at her numbers here today, 14 assists already in this first set.
Before that match against Kansas, just 1 set in the last 5 matches. That also tells you how much confidence that Mary Wise has in her to run this offense.
Rubin serves. McKissick calls for it. Fitzpatrick rolls it over. McKissick pancaked it, got it up. Great save by Izzy Martin, but it's going to head out of play, and it's going to be a point for Stanford.
Good defensive effort on Florida's side. McKissick flying through to get a hand right under that. A beautiful pancake. Stanford, though, is able to capitalize on an easy roll shot.
Good serve by Rubin on the overpass, and they'll drop in, and Stanford has tied it at 21. I think Mary Wise is going to use her second timeout of the set, and she will, because Stanford is pushing back, and they've tied it up at 21. Playing back here at a very familiar area, the Eastern time zone. They have spent more time away from the Bay Area, it seems, than in the Bay Area. As a matter of fact, we spent our entire production budget to come up with the Stanford ACC travel schedule. This is just ACC. Remember, they were in Louisville for a non-conference, for a break. I got to remember, they're in the conference now. Notre Dame, bus to Louisville, headed home, went to SMU. SMU Pitt is a road trip back home. Cal was a break because it's just next door, but then Miami, then to Tallahassee, then back home, then to the Triangle. I'm exhausted just saying all this. But we had our brightest minds added all together. Just in the ACC, 19,030 miles. And if you mix in their non-conference road trips, because this is the 5th trip to the Eastern time zone, they played 7 matches in the Eastern time zone, You could circle the earth once.
It's exhausting hearing you go through all of that.
I'm exhausted. I couldn't even do it.
I can't even imagine how this team feels. And talking to Elia Rubin this week, she said every week she thought it was going to get easier, but it only got harder. This season is grueling, and that tells you how good the Stanford team is. Being able to get through that and be as resilient as they can and come out with so many wins, going 17-3 in their first season and joining the ACC.
They've won 11 in a row. Their last loss was November 1st to Miami, and Kevin Hambly was just matter of fact about it because there was a lot of talk, some controversy. Who would be the 4 seed in this tournament? Who would be the 5 seed? It turns out Louisville was the 4 seed. That means they get to host here. Stanford, if they were the 4 seed, we'd be at Maples. And Hambly said, when we lost to Miami, I just knew it was going to be an uphill climb from there, even though they beat Louisville in the regular season finale. Out of the timeout, Florida gets the points.
Eric, I had to listen in to Hambly's timeout there for Stanford, and he said what's happening that's going wrong is that their team is being rushed. He wants his team to slow their tempo down and play how they know how to play. Be a little bit more aggressive in the serve, but mainly just kind of find their rhythm and not try to be rushed by Florida.
Right now they're hoping to side out. Rubin gets there. Thank you, Key. And finding the spot is Ipar Kurtz.
Calm in the chaos, that's what Stanford has to do. Florida's keeping all the pressure on the Cardinal, but how are they able to handle it? Can they transition those little plays and find a way to capitalize?
All right, so Key just mentioned about the serve. Stanford back at the service line now. We're tied at 22. And it's the freshman U. And it's a good serve. Stuckey looks to the back row. Battle at the net. The joust rolls over, and Stanford will try to set things up. Oh, big rip from the freshman from Istanbul, Ipar Kurtz, to put Stanford on top by 1.
In these kind of moments, you find out a lot about your young players. That is a strong, confident swing from a redshirt freshman outside in a massive moment.
5-1 burst here by the Cardinal. 2 points away from taking set 1. And that one just misses the mark. Kevin Hambly looking to his team saying, should I challenge it? Because it's on the exact opposite end from where he's standing right now. So he's asking his teammates, his players rather, if they should challenge it. He will not. That's the first service error for Stanford. And here's Canan for Florida. Kurt. It was touched, no. Point Florida. I think we're going to get the challenge here because Kurt says it was touched. And Hambly has the card and will challenge it. Michael O'Connor and Michelle Prater are referees.
Stanford is challenging, and the touch on the block. The original call was no touch.
So this is where you need honesty from your team. Kurt seemed convinced.
Potentially that inside hand of the middle. It looks like something was maybe bent backwards. Yep, that's fingertips. Based on that look that we see.
May get a good look down the line from the R1's position. Here we go. Just a dramatic pause right there. It's like you see a little bit more from the other angle, but is it conclusive? I do agree. Let's see what the call is.
Call on the floor is going to be reversed. Touch on the block. Stanford retains the challenge.
The challenge, and Emily Eamon is 1 for 1 on NCAA tournament challenges as well.
Nice.
Nice.
That was a great challenge taken by Kevin Hambly and kind of makes up for that no challenge that he had on that serve. A little bit questionable. Smart decision.
Set point number 1 for the Cardinal. Minor serving for the set. And it's a service error. We're tied at 24.
That's 2 service errors in critical moments for Stanford. Kevin Hamley normally doesn't care about them, but in these moments, that's when you need to hit your serve. Those errors cannot happen when it's this tight.
Service error tied it at 23, and now it ties it at 24. Hoyle. Stuckey directs traffic, finds Izzy Martin. Great save. That was Rubin. Stuckey, back row attack. Set point, Florida.
In these big moments, both teams are going to go to their go-to attackers. For Florida, that is Kennedy Martin. And you got players like Elia Rubin stepping up for Stanford. And everyone knows this ball has to go to Martin. She is your go-to attacker, the player that you have relied on all season long in these kind of moments.
So Florida has a set point. Timeout called by the Cardinal. Emerson Hoyle out there on the serve, so she wasn't on the sideline very long, Key.
Yeah, she got absolutely lit up by a ball a few moments ago, but she went off and the physio talked to her, immediately said, is everything okay? All I heard was her saying, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, over and over, but they made sure they tested her eyes with a light, and they tested her shoulder stability, her neck mobility, pretty much all things looking good, though, for Emerson Hoyle.
All right, Key, thank you very much for the update. She'll be out on the floor serving for the set. Costly service errors for Stanford. They were up 23-22. A service error tied it at 23. They got set point at 24-23, and then another service error, so an opportunity lost. Now back-to-back points for Florida.
The biggest thing for Stanford here, too, is can their young players step up in these big moments? Their front row right now is Lizzie Andrew, freshman, Jordan Harvey, a sophomore, and Ipar Kurt, a redshirt freshman. This is a very young front line. Can they rise to the occasion when it matters?
So Hoyle got knocked down. She got up quickly, and now she's in a position to serve for the set. The one who came in with the pancake to get it up. And the block! Set one goes to the Gators.
It took Florida half the set to wake up, but when they did, they were lights out. Figured out a way to turn on the offense and to slow down that efficient Stanford offense.
They are fired up, and Emerson Hoyle took a shot off the face earlier in the set, got back up, got down for the pancake for the save, kept Florida to the point, and then the defense put it away for the Gators. They take set one of the best of 5, 26-24. Set 2 next. 7-0 run. She had 4 of the kills during that 7-0 run. Remember, it was 11-6 Stanford at that time. And then Martin looks very relaxed, goes on that run, and the Gators ended that first set on a 3-0 run. A reminder again, it was a set point for Stanford, and during that timeout, they're playing a certain song by the Village People.
Oh.
So Kennedy was just going to do the YMCA. Like, hey.
She is loose, she is ready.
Cool. Second set is underway. Slammed off hands by Rubin. That's her 5th kill. Ipar Kurt led the way for Stanford in set 1 with 5 kills, hit 444. But in the end, they were outblocked. Stanford was 4-1 by Florida in that first set. Oh. All right, I'll ask you, because I don't know if anybody has the answer. How do you stop? If you're driving,
no,
you know where I'm going.
You don't. You just can't, but that's the thing. That's why Kennedy Martin is such a gem. She's just a sophomore, but she finds ways to score. She's done it 5 times this season with 30 or more kills. Teams don't have an answer for what she's bringing.
AC Fitzpatrick. Point for the Gators.
Alexis Stuckey is doing just a phenomenal job.
Key, you were listening on the Stanford huddle. What were they saying between sets?
Well, the first thing I liked is that Coach Hambly talked to his team specifically, said, what are you seeing? So he opened up the mic and the floor to the players to speak about their experience. Ellie Rubin specifically said, we need to find ourselves. We're letting the other team take control of the net, and that needs to be taken care of. He then said, let's find some space to attack. He looked specifically at Cami Minor and said, hey, I need more aggression out of you. I want you to take that ball high and play with some speed. And then he asked, do you agree? What do you guys think? Do you agree? Because I do.
It sounds like that's a big part of what Stanford's focused on this year, Key, compared to maybe the last couple years where the season's ended in disappointment in the regional final round in Palo Alto. There's a point for Stanford, so they're on top 3-2. Yesterday, Kevin talked about, we're very honest with each other, and I said, well, this is going to get good because they just have honest conversations. They are real about things. They lean into weaknesses instead of ignoring them, and they want to solve problems. It sounds like there was some problem solving going on in that conversation.
The biggest thing has been accountability, and he says that goes both ways. It's between the players, but then it's also the players to me and me to the players. They hold me accountable just as much as I hold them accountable.
A little miscommunication there as Minor and Rubin very rarely are not on the same page. That time they weren't.
Well, and that's Minor pushing the tempo, just as Coach Hambly told her, and Rubin turned to her right after the play and said, hey, that's my fault. Keep getting me that speed.
McKissick back to serve for the Gators. Florida went 11-5 in the SEC this year. Here's a side out for Stanford. Third in the conference. Stanford was tied for second in the ACC with Louisville behind Pittsburgh. I do want to get your thoughts on Pittsburgh and Oregon. I know you're still processing it all. Pittsburgh 1-5, but you talk about a postseason thriller in the Steel City.
This is what makes the NCAA tournament so fun. No team is safe. Just when you think a team is untouchable, all of a sudden they're not.
Martin off hands. Yeah, that's going to be a point for Ipar Kurtz.
That's a perfect set from Cami Minor. Not a lot of setters across the country can make this play. 10, 15 feet off the net, she still pushes tempo to her outsides.
It's going to be a service error for Rubin. That is number 3 for Stanford. Of course, their first two costly at the end of the set that got us going here a moment ago. Katie Martin's got a hammer of a serve. But Stanford handles it. They side out. Point for the Cardinal.
Both sides have passed phenomenally tonight. During that first set, Florida passed about 70% in system. Stanford 63. Normally the goal is about 60, and you normally don't ever hit it. Both teams trying to turn up the pressure and serving, but the passing has just been phenomenal.
You to serve. Stuckey sends it back for the kill from the freshman, August.
Beautiful run from Auguste on that backside, a slide attack, meaning she's running behind the setter on a quick tempo ball. It's beautiful, this connection between Stuckey and her freshman Auguste. That's one of the reasons why she won Southeastern Region Freshman of the Year. She has been so good offensively.
August 6 kills on 8 swings, no errors against NC State to get her NCAA tournament going before that big match that we talked about before against Kansas. That's in for Stanford, and the Cardinal are up by 2.
And another freshman, this time going on the slide. Two of that had just really plugged and played into both of their systems. Both Andrew and Auguste done a phenomenal job. Being a middle in this league is so difficult, coming in and playing right away.
Kurtz playing well. She's locked in. The freshman, second team all-conference in the ACC. She was especially good in conference play, averaged almost 3.5 kills a set, hit .335 as a freshman in conference play.
She's been massive against some of these big teams early on in the season. She put up 16 kills, hit over 300 in their win against Wisconsin to start it all off.
Rubin with the dig. Rubin floats in for the back row. McKissick for Izzy Martin. Sets back for Harvey, off hands, and a point for Stanford.
Phenomenal transition play for Stanford. Ogilvy in the perfect spot to make this dig and get Cami Minor right on the money. That allows this offense to be run. Ogilvy just makes it look easy back there. She is such an underrated libero for how good of a player she is.
That caught the tape on the serve. 3-0 run for the Cardinals, trying to add to it here. Kurt off hands, and another point for Ipar Kurt. That's 9 kills already.
Stanford is really finding their rhythm. They've been able to transition some pretty difficult situations, but that's what Hambley wanted to see from his team. Can you just slow it down and play good ball?
Already 4 kills this set for the freshman, Kurt. I think that's off the mark. Was it touched is the question. Yes, it was, say the officials. Point for the Gators.
That's all it takes, just that little clip, whether it's a finger, an arm, an elbow, it doesn't matter. If you get any part of the opponent and goes out of bounds, that's your point.
Service error for Florida. That is their second of the match. Stanford swept LMU, hit .535 in that match, had just 3 attack errors on 86 swings in their round 2 win. That punched their ticket here to Louisville. Stuckey tried to find the spot. Could not. It's a point for Stanford. I think it was a net violation.
Yeah, it's a smart decision for Stuckey to go up. 1, it went out of bounds. 2, she went in the net. So maybe look for her on another tight ball to kind of revamp that.
That's off the mark as Kurt, with the service error, gives a point to the Gators.
That's one of those misses that you're okay with if you're Stanford, because it's so close to the end line, and with how much Ipar Kurt scores off of her serve, you're okay with a few misses.
Stanford coming into this match, 353 service errors, which is 169 more than our opponents. You would think that's an alarming that they're not a good serving team. Quick offense there and a point, and they'll head back to serve. But this is part of Kevin Hambley's plan. He could care less. He says there's not an analytical study he's found that says service errors are going to hurt you. That's in his opinion.
Yeah, they actually developed a system that told them that normally you think about, okay, 10% error, you're okay with that. They developed a system that said it doesn't matter what percentage we have to serve tough. It didn't make a difference either way.
Gators get the point. Izzy Martin with 4 kills. Kennedy Martin with 8. Anna Pringle on to receive the serve for Stanford. Harvey, that's good attack by Jordan Harvey. Another one of those players that really came on in conference play, hit better than 300 in conference play for the Cardinal.
Jordan Harvey's been so impressive. Just her ability to really skyrocket up at that ball, and she's got a heavy arm. Really bright future ahead.
Florida gets the kill. Kennedy Martin closing in on double digits again. As Emily mentioned, she's gone for 30 or more kills 5 times. For the record, she has 20 or more kills 12 times this year. So she's just used to being in double digits and far beyond 10 kills in a match. Minor sends it to Ruben. Tough one for her to handle. Sent back. Pringle diving play, couldn't get there in time. That's a point for the Gators.
That's Florida's first block this set. They did a really nice job during set 1 slowing down Stanford's offense, and that block was really big. Stanford's done a better job of keeping the ball off the net, but that was a good decision by Martin to really get those hands over on a tight ball.
4 blocks in set 1, and as Emily mentioned, that's the first one of set 2. They have outblocked Stanford 5-1. Ruben steps into it. That's off the tape and a point for Florida.
During out of system play as an outside, you have to make sure you're swinging high because the block is always going to be up there and be big.
Well, Kevin Hambley doesn't love what he sees right now. He'll take a timeout, even though his team's up 3. A week from right now, it is national semifinal number 1 here in Louisville at the KFC Yum Center.
I'm so excited, Eric.
When you think back to the season started the last week of August here in Louisville, and the end of the season is just about here. It is a long season, but there's so many great matches and performances, it just flies by. I mean, think about it. Last week of August to late December is the season, and it went by in a blink.
Truly, we blinked and all of a sudden it's postseason. It is crazy how fast it flies.
Kennedy Martin with a rare swing and a miss, so it's a point for Stanford out of the timeout, and here is Key.
I was having to listen in to the Stanford timeout, of course, and Dave Booz was speaking specifically about defense. He said to his middles, I need you to get off the floor faster, first of all, and second of all, don't be reading inside and out. Don't be leaning your arms, as defense doesn't seem to be the problem there, as it's an ace. But for Mary Wise, her topic was for the defenders in the backcourt being stopped in defense. So main topic of conversation in that timeout was just defending.
That's something that they have to do. The Stanford team's hitting over 300 during this set. Florida defended really well during set 1. They have to get back to that.
Stanford hitting 321 here in this set against this Florida defense. No defending that play. Martin made sure she got solid contact on that swing after just her second attack error of the match. And she is once again into double digit with kills with 10. She'll go back to serve.
Has not missed that double digit mark ever in her career.
Kurt leaned into it. It was touched according to the officials, so it's a point for the Cardinal.
That was a beautiful set from Sammy Francis. This is why I love that they got rid of the double rule, because now you have middle stepping in as confident as ever, just setting their teammates up. I mean, every middle also thinks they're a setter, so.
Coco Kirsch, redshirt freshman, on to serve, and a timeout's being called by the Gators here. Assistant coach Dave Booz chatting with Kennedy Martin.
You can't teach height, but that's exactly what Kennedy's dad did for her growing up. Ravel Martin was a D2 college football player who muscled his way into the NFL to play for the Green Bay Packers. And when Kennedy was in high school, he would stand in front of her to show her just how imposing and frankly intimidating it was to go up against a player her height. Now fast forward to today, and the 6'6" Gator still obviously uses her height to her advantage, but just like her dad, Kennedy now plays with that undersized underdog mentality and a chip on her shoulder. So best of both worlds.
Key, I'm going to put you on the spot here because Mary Wise said that one of the best attributes of Kennedy Martin is she's got that goldfish mentality. And we needed to explain what the goldfish mentality was, but once we did, you said that's me.
Look, I'll tell you one thing. I can forget as easily as anyone in the world. If you have a goldfish mentality, it basically just means like everything rolls off your back like a duck, you know, good, bad, or ugly, you're just moving on to the next point. So if she has that in volleyball, I think that's a positive. In the real world, maybe not.
We just saw that a moment ago, right? She had a swing and a miss that ended up in the net. She just smiled and moved on to the next and then came up with her 10th kill.
The biggest thing is volleyball is a game of errors. You're not going to have every swing that you take hit the floor, so you have to be able to bounce back fast, especially for a player that could get 60, 70 swings during a match. They're not all going to go down.
Martin, we are on 1,000 kill watch for the sophomore. She's got 10. She's 7 away from 1,000 in just her 53rd match. Out of the timeout, they draw it up for who else but Kennedy Martin for the kill.
In these big moments when Florida needs to crawl their way back, they will go to Kennedy Martin. It doesn't matter whether she's in the front court or the back court. Stuckey's going to find her every time.
Emily Cananda serve for the Gators. She's targeting towards the libero Ogilvy, but missed the mark, so a service error for the Gators. That's number 3, and Stanford's back up by 5. Service error, number 5 for the Cardinal.
Stanford continuing to try to pick up the service pressure against a Florida team that's very good in the backcourt. They're finding a little bit too high air, but for Stanford, that doesn't mean anything. They average over 3%.
Emerson Hoyle serves for the Gators. Harvey on the attack, and the point for the Cardinal.
The left sides for Stanford, whether it's the right side playing on the left or their true outsides, are doing a really nice job exploiting the sidelines of the court, really going for that zone 5, that left back, hitting the sidelines.
Good serve from Kurt, who's played well here tonight. Izzy Martin well off the net. Chance here from Minor to work it back for Harvey. McKissick with the save. Harvey has it sent back by the Florida defense.
The defense has been outstanding in the backcourt on both sides, and what Stanford needs to do just a little bit better is, because Florida's block has been all over the place, they have to cover better. So many players just stand there watching. If you're not hitting, you gotta be in there covering.
Blocks are 6-1 now for the Gators. They had 12 in the win over Kansas in the 5-7. Gators give one back. Stanford, the first team to 20 here in set 2. They had a set point in the first set, but the Gators battle back to take set 1, 26-24.
Now that's 4 just in this set alone from Stanford. Do have a little cushion though on the score.
So here is Taylor Parks coming out. Now she has an excellent serve. She's not playing center at the moment. It's been Stuckey setting and she stays on the court, but the freshman from Clearwater is on a 9-match ace streak. She leads the team with 39 aces on the season. Placed perfectly and a point for the Cardinal.
A really smart decision to go for that back corner. When you have a setter playing in the back row, they're playing out of position. They're normally used to playing right back. They're not going to know exactly where to go to when they're playing middle back.
Jordan Harvey with the serve. Straight up, Rubin sent it back. Stuckey, who's got great size at the net, but couldn't win the battle against the Cardinal. And it's another point for Stanford. They're up by 6 again here in this second set. And a timeout is called by the Gators. Down by 6.
Stanford just continuing to find ways to score, whether it's off of Florida errors or doing what they can on offense, but it looks a lot better than what we saw in set 1. The sets were just a little bit too tight. Florida went on a blocking craziness because those balls were too tight, and Cami Minor's done a good job of getting her hitters off the net just a little bit better.
She has done a good job, hasn't she, Key?
Cami Minor's been fantastic, but it's not uncommon for high-level athlete kids to come from high-level athlete parents, and Cami, she's no exception. Her father, Harold, was dubbed Baby Jordan during his playing days at USC, and he went on to have a 4-year career in the NBA, but that was cut short due to knee injuries, pressure to live up to expectations, and he wrote off sports completely until the day Cami was born, and she ignited a new fire in her former athlete father. So in middle school, he had her doing push-ups, ladder drills, setting against the wall in their garage. I mean, she even gave a heartfelt speech about her love for volleyball in 6th grade, and it was right around that time that Coach Hambly caught wind of this setting phenomenon, and he says it was obvious. She was a special kind of athlete, and after 4 years of excellence, he still gets calls from Harold asking if Cami is as good as they say she is, and the answer is always the same: yes, and better.
Key, I'm going to assume Harold's in the building somewhere, but we won't be able to find him.
It's a safe assumption, but he'll be hiding up in the rafters somewhere, absolutely not speaking to us, that's for sure.
I was going to say, I actually was just scanning the rafters to see if there was a big body up there, because I knew exactly who that was going to be.
No, I think he just kind of ducks around and hides because he wants her to have her moment and chase her dreams after he had his opportunity.
It's also tough being a sports parent. It's anxiety-inducing.
Cami was the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year her first year and has continued to pile up the accolades throughout her career, including a third straight Conference Center of the Year award, this time in the ACC. Ooh, Kennedy Martin found the spot. Much needed point for the Gators. Martin's 12th kill.
Even if Kennedy Martin is off balance, she still finds a way to score. This time she's kind of just throwing her hand at it and finds a perfectly open spot on Stanford's side.
Here is Ellie McKissick to serve. Francis McKissick flew in to save it. And she's a little hurt getting up, wincing as she tries to get set up, really extended her arm to try to get that save. There's the block, Sammy Francis at the net.
What a read from Sammy Francis up front, identifying that middle attack and getting right on it, eating that one up. And here's a look at that McKissick dig that she was shaking off, just trying to get those hands under in time. See her landing on that left side just a little bit more.
I think she looked over the bench saying, I'm fine. I don't think you're going to get the fifth-year senior off the court here tonight.
She'd have to be losing a limb.
Even then, it's only a flesh wound. Good job by Stanford's defense, better at the net and better in the back row, and it's paid off and resulted in a set point for the Cardinal.
Just a great adjustment from Ipar Kurt in the air. Not a beautiful set, but she managed that well.
4-1 run for the Cardinal, trying to close it out. They were unable to close it out in set number 1 when they had a set point. Multiple set points here. That save, Miner's got room. Fitzpatrick over. Miner to Kurt. It was touched. It's a point for Stanford. It's a set for Stanford.
That's the Stanford that we expected to come out during the first set. Just guns blazing on offense, and they found a way to make that adjustment, which was massive for the Stanford team.
25-17. The Cardinal hit 317 in that set, and maybe more impressively, they held Florida to 143 hitting. The block started to get going a little bit. You talked about the defense. Things just look more like Cardinal volleyball there in that second set. Let's hear from their head coach, Kevin Hambley, with Key.
Coach, great adjustment from the first set to the second. What changed in your mind?
Well, I think the nerves of the moment kind of got to us a little bit. We were playing outside of ourselves, trying to do too much on stuff, and then the communication wasn't how it normally is. So just trying to settle in and play like Stanford. I think this is hard. You're in these moments and everyone's pretty anxious, and it's got to settle them down a little bit. And we made a couple adjustments as far as defensively that aren't that interesting, but I think the most important thing is we just kind of settled in.
We might be interested in those adjustments. Can you give us some specifics?
I mean, I think we're in they were doing some things that were different than we thought. We're playing a little bit more corner defense on Martin because she can go 2-2, so we played that a little bit, and the same on the go. That helped a little bit, but there's other things we have to do as well.
Awesome, Coach. See you in the next one.
All right, Kevin gave up some of the secrets, Key. Good job. Stanford hit 317 in the first set and lost. They hit 317 in the second set and won. Even at a set apiece in the best of 5 at Freedom Hall. For Stanford.
Stanford turned their defense on. That was something they didn't have during set 1. Florida's offense was able to go off, hitting over 400 during that set. Stanford did a much better job containing them, especially Kennedy Martin, which is so difficult to do.
Remember, set 1, there was a set point for Stanford, but in the end, it was Florida that took set 1. And just a couple of moments ago, Mary Wise, the Florida head coach, talked with Key.
Coach, Stanford was a tough second set there. What changed?
Well, ironically enough, they hit for the exact same hitting efficiency. The difference was we weren't able to get the kills that we got in the first set, and credit Stanford's defense. I mean, when you play an experienced team as talented as they are and as old as they are, even their young ones play old and experienced. It's tough to get kills. We just have to find some more.
Is there anything specific that you want to do in this set?
I think if we can at least give our chance to get our middles back involved, I think that can spread the block, at least give us a chance.
I love that. Get the middles involved. Thanks, Mary.
All right, thank you very much, Key. We'll keep an eye on getting the middles involved individually so far. It is Kennedy Martin leading the way, of course, for Florida. 12 kills, hitting 370. And for Stanford, Ipar Kurt leading the Cardinal with 12 kills, hitting .550 through 2 sets.
Kurt has been fantastic, and that's helped Stanford kind of keep that hitting efficiency through 2 sets. The difference there is the drop-off from Florida, 417 to 143. That is a drop-off that you cannot see. The biggest thing is getting their middles involved. They're just about 18% through the middle, which is tough.
And also, Florida has to find an answer to slow down the freshman from Turkey, Ipar Kurt.
She has been phenomenal all night long, finding ways to score, even at a system when she knows she's got that double block up there. Kurt has done a nice job of finding the floor. And look, this is a redshirt freshman, but she has played a high level for so many years. She's from Turkey, she's played in high-level international matches, and now she's getting that out in the court in the biggest stage here in the college game in the U.S.
So Kurt will watch the start of set number 3 here. We're even at a set apiece in the best of 5. And a little bit of a change here for Florida. We just talked about, Mary Wise did with Key Michael, about getting more out of the middles. Well, Alec Roth, the freshman from Dublin, Ohio, will come on and make her first appearance here in Louisville. Did play against NC State, had a kill and 4 blocks in the win against Kansas in round 2. Set 3 is underway. Ogilvy with the float. Right away, testing Roth. And Martin with the kill.
Kennedy Martin, you're going to hear the name all night long because that's how good she is. Starting off this set, even off of an okay pass, they're going to find her in every situation.
Izzy Martin serves for Florida. Stanford to Francis in the middle. Francis kept it up as Fitzpatrick sent it over. Stuckey, right side, Kennedy Martin. Rubin missed the mark on the swing.
On defense, you can't score points, but it helps when you've got Ellie McKissick diving out like this. A one-handed save, that's what makes the best liberos. Can you dig outside your body? McKissick is so good at that.
McKissick now with 8 digs. She has set the all-time record at Florida. Here tonight, 5th-year senior from Windermere, Florida. Second-team all-conference selection. There you see Ellie.
She's just an underrated libero. I mean, what she does both defensively in the backcourt, 4.4 digs per set, also about 60% in system as Stanford blasts that one out. But she's so good in all of the roles that she needs to do. She's a fantastic leader in the backcourt. She digs a ton of balls, and she is a phenomenal passer.
So here is McKissick with the digs, with the passing. Let's see how she does with the serve. Martin with the block, and a miscommunication between Harvey and Ogilvy, and it's a point for the Gators. Good start for Florida here in the 3rd.
Those miscommunication plays are not something that you can do on your side, especially this late in the tournament. Those could be the difference of whether you win or lose a set.
Kissick goes short. Miner couldn't get the kill. Florida gets another point. Great start. Getting more out of the middles was part of the equation for Mary Wise, and so far so good.
It looked like a set or dump up there from the freshman middle. Okay, August.
3-0 run for the Gators. Comes with McKissick on the service line. Rubin. And a net violation is going to be called on Florida.
See how fast the Stanford offense is. Even off the net, Miner is really pushing that tempo, and it's forcing Florida's block into situations where they have to make those quick moves. That forces them to go in the net.
Here's Elia Rubin, who always seems to step up in big matches. 12 kills against Texas, 19 kills against Minnesota, 20 against Wisconsin, 22 against Louisville. Francis, Stuckey kept it alive, fight at the net. McKissick. Francis on the slide gets the kill for the Cardinal.
Ellia Rubin is basically like having another libero in the backcourt for Stanford. The saves that she makes are so impressive because they're not only up, but they put Minor in the perfect position to run a balanced offense and get the middle involved in transition, which is so difficult to do.
Rubin's been high error on her swings today, but she does have 9 digs to go along with 8 kills.
And she's passing phenomenally. Florida is moving the ball away from her because of how good she's been back there.
Good serve. Stuckey was able to save it, just barely. They try Francis again. It works again for the Cardinal.
In this rotation, Stanford's going to go to this right side attack a lot, whether it's a slide attack or if their right side's up front. Because AC Fitzpatrick on Florida's side is an undersized outside, that's a blocking matchup that Stanford likes.
3-0 run for the Cardinal. That's an attack error for Florida, and it's a 4-0 run for Stanford.
This is where Florida has to claw out of this, play as clean as possible. Watch for Kennedy Martin. Let's get one of these sets.
Rubin building some momentum with the serve for Stanford. Kennedy Martin, usually a momentum buster. Stanford doing a great job defensively to stay in the point. But just for the moment, Kennedy Martin, kill number 14.
When Florida rather needs points, they're going to go to Martin every time. It doesn't matter where she is on the court. Now she's in the back row, but Stuckey knows who her hot hand has been all season long and knows that she has to go to her. Oh.
AC Fitzpatrick got everything into that swing.
Put her whole body into that one, an undersized outside, but watch her swing at this ball. She is putting everything that she's got to rip this. Those are the swings you'd love to see from an undersized outside. Them just putting everything at it.
Francis, this has been a good set for Sammy Francis, into double digits with 10 kills now.
Cami Minor really exploiting that blocking mismatch. Sammy Francis hits 6'6", plus that reach, and she is phenomenal behind the setter. Really good matchup.
So Francis will head out. 3 kills this set for Francis. Kirsch with the serve. Fitzpatrick off speed this time. Stuckey, August.
Beautiful connection. This is one of the most difficult connections to get down. When you have a freshman middle coming in, to have that slide attack look so good right away is so hard, but it's looked phenomenal all season long, whether it's Stuckey or Parkson with their freshman middle.
7 kills now for the freshman from Houston. Lizzie Andrew. It was Sammy Francis earlier. Now it's freshman Lizzie Andrew piling up the middle points.
Cami Minor really forcing that right side of the court. Now Jordan Harvey, the right side up front, look for her to get that going as well.
Minor in the back row to serve. Stuckey to Izzy Martin. That's in play. Stuckey tries it again to Izzy Martin. There's Rubin. Kurt tries again. Point Florida.
Credit to Florida for just outlasting Stanford. Impressive plays on both sides of the ball, but Florida's able to capitalize on it off a Stanford error.
Emerson Hoyle back to serve for Florida. Up by 2, even at a set apiece and a service error. That's number 5 for the Gators.
A lot of those service errors on Florida's side have come from trying to go to that short serve and knock Stanford out of their rhythm, but just going a little bit too short into the net.
Here's Kurt, had 4 aces in the round 1 win over Sacramento State for the Cardinal at Maples. There's Harvey on the right side. Back row attack, Martin. Good up by Minor. Roth back on the floor. Harvey. Point Stanford.
Stanford is so good at hitting out of system. Elena Ogilvie is one of the best out of system setters there is. Her hands are beautiful. When Minor's taking this first ball, it has to be good, and Ogilvie does exactly that, setting her hitters up well.
Stuckey threw it down for a Gator point.
Stuckey's getting more and more offensive as this match has gone on. On these tight balls, Stanford has to do a better job of identifying when she's front row and getting a blocker up in front of it.
Stuckey made her 2024 debut on September 20th, ended up starting 14, so this is her 15th start. Match number 31 on the season. Got a piece of it, her teammate couldn't get there. Trying to see, I think it's Kanan who went into the press row table.
She's a little bit slower to get up.
She's limping now. Aubrey Wright, the athletic trainer for Florida, had to check on Hoyle earlier. The Terraflex from the Yum Center is placed over the court that's used by Bellarmine. And I think she went off the edge of the court under the table. She's smiling now. Oh, she got airborne. It wasn't going off the court, it was that she
flew up and
was doing
landed hard.
her Superwoman routine. I see that. Ogilvie, tied at 10. Easy Martin from Stuckey. Assist number 30 for Alexis Stuckey.
Big side out right away. After that longer pause, it's so important as a team to shake that off, get going right away. A beautiful handle on the serve receive. Little good give and go for Martin.
Well, Kanan is going to go off now, and she's walking slowly off the court, so we'll keep an eye on Emily. Oh, beautiful job. Hammered down by Jordan Harvey.
That ball looked like hitting lines up front. Might as well have been no blockers up. Jordan Harvey absolutely ripping this ball right down the line. Check out how fast this swing is. Even in slow motion, it's coming fast.
Stuckey trying to work it to Roth, the middle. McKissick. Kennedy Martin is denied. There's Rubin trying to set it for Cami Minor. The defense is there for the Gators.
What a read from the freshman middle. Alec Roth stepping in and stepping up for this Florida team that needed to up their defensive intensity just a little bit better. That was a fantastic read.
McKissick back to serve for the Gators, up by 1, even at a set apiece in the best of 5. Francis back on. Florida's defense is there. And then August into the net, point Stanford.
The game plan for Florida in this third set was get those middles going just a little bit better. Stuckey's done a nice job of that. That timing just a little bit off with August.
Rubin into the net, service error number 8 for Stanford.
If you're just joining us again, this Stanford team, they're very much okay with service errors. Kevin Hamley has told us time and time again that it doesn't matter how many they miss. He feels like that's an advantage because of how hard they're serving, and the other team can't get in a rhythm.
Just trying to be aggressive from the service line, and service error for Kennedy Martin gives the point right back, even at 13.
The other thing I thought was interesting from Kevin Hamley is he was saying he's also okay with those misses because of how hard they serve. They're either knocking the opponent out of system or they're missing, which means that you can't stay in system at a high clip because you can't get comfortable.
That's going to be off the mark, and it's a point for Stanford. One big improvement for Stanford as the season's gone along What was the word that Kevin Handley used to describe his team's blocking ability in the first half of the season?
He told us atrocious. It was about 5-6 matches in. He said, our blocking is atrocious. It's not even there. It might as well not be there. But they have made a massive improvement this season.
Service error again for Stanford, so we're even at 14. Francis back on. As Trinity Adams going to be in the mix now. Emily Canan, we told you, went off. Adams, a veteran, the senior from Radford, Virginia, who didn't play in the first 2 rounds of the tournament, getting some time now in round 3. And it's 15-14 Florida. We get to a media timeout in set 3 in Louisville. Out of the media timeout, it's Trinity Adams to serve again for the Gators, up by 1. Set 1 went to Florida, 26-24. Set 2 to Stanford, 25-17. The winner to take on the winner of our next match between Louisville and Purdue. That drops in for Lizzie Andrew. Key, you got an update on Emily Canan.
Yeah, just moments ago, we saw her come off the court in tears. She was limping. She had to go all the way off the court into the trainer's table, and they were testing her kneecap and all the muscles around it, had her jumping, had her doing single leg squats, looking like a sobriety test, but there were some smiles through the tears, so that's good news.
Okay, thank you, Key. She's smiling and laughing about it now, but still on the table, so hopefully everything continues in a positive direction for Emily.
We see Trinity Adams in for that position that normally we see Emily Canan in back row for AC Fitzpatrick.
Well, service errors adding up for these two teams. 7 now for Florida. Florida's a team that does like to serve you tough, get you out of system. So they need to be aggressive from that service line as well against the Stanford team. That seems like they're never out of system.
Stanford is such a good passing team, and that's one of the reasons why their offense is so efficient. Because when you're in system at a high clip, it makes that offense unpredictable and so tough to read as a defense.
Florida takes a timeout. So Stanford on top by 1. Another player that's really made a big contribution so far today is Sammy Francis. 10 kills, no attack error so far for the Cardinal Key.
And this is what we've seen from her this season. She has done a phenomenal job throughout the years she's been injured or hasn't had a full go season. Her freshman year, she had mono, missed a few matches. Her second year, she had an artery tore off of her ab and missed a significant portion of the season. Then last season, she had that ankle injury as well, missed a few there. So this is the first season that we're seeing Sammy Francis full and healthy, and she has done a phenomenal job all season long, and especially tonight. She has been absolutely outstanding. 10 kills, no errors, 23 swings, hitting over 400.
Francis started her career as an outside, has moved to the middle, and she's been in the middle of everything so far tonight.
That shows you just how versatile of a player she is. Cami Minor's making sure to get her going, especially on that slide attack. It's a matchup that Stanford has tried to exploit all night long, doing really great behind the setter, and from a blocking standpoint, making sure that she's in the right positions, getting those hands right to make amazing plays.
Francis, the 6'6" senior from San Diego, on the sidelines right now. 10 kills in the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament total. She's got 10 kills tonight here in round 3 against Florida.
What I love that Kevin Handley told us was she is one of the most competitive players he's actually been around. He said every time she steps on the court, she wants to crush the other team's soul.
Which he said with affection, just for the record. He used the phrase, she's a dog, which is, you know, big time compliment these days, and an ace for Stanford.
That was like target practice. Kennedy Martin couldn't get out of time in the way. That's how hard this service coming.
That one didn't work out so well, and Martin got out of the way. Service error for Stanford. Kurt will head out, and Stuckey will head back to serve for Florida. Five service errors this set for the Cardinal. It's a tight set. 1 point advantage for Stanford. Oh, Jordan Harvey. Touch by Florida, point for Stanford.
Every swing that Jordan Harvey is taking, it feels like she's putting everything into it. She is trying to rip that line as often as she can. Florida's got to make that adjustment and get behind it.
So we got a challenge here from Florida.
Florida is challenging the call on the floor. Original call, touch. They're challenging no touch.
Thank you, Michael O'Connor. He'll take a look at the monitor. There is a replay technician in the NCAA tournament. The R2 is controlling the decisions at the monitor. Let's see what he might be looking at right now.
And normally you don't challenge plays if your player actually touched it and said they didn't. If you did touch it. This ball ruled initially a touch.
Yeah, did number 17, Izzy Martin, touch it? She says no. The official said touch, so the call on the court was touch. Saw Kevin Hambley as well looking at it pretty closely.
You have to have full conclusive evidence one way or the other to either confirm or reverse the call. Based on the looks that we saw, I don't know if you have enough either way.
Here's a look from another angle.
From that angle, it looks clear out.
That's not near the hands at all. Did it catch this? And I have to be honest, earlier I was watching the hands from one of the earlier angles. About to get the call.
The call on the floor is going to be reversed. No touch. Florida retains their challenge.
All right. So a successful challenge by Mary Wise means instead of Stanford leading 19-17, it's 18-all. And because of that successful challenge, we have our 10th tie of this third set. Is a successful kill for Izzy Martin. 6th kill for her.
Beautiful out of system set. Ellie McKissick stepping in, really stepping up for this team, putting Martin in the perfect spot to go up and get that one.
And a timeout called by Stanford as the Cardinal have fallen behind by 1 here in set 3. One of them, right? You said it was the loudest building you had been in, and you've been in a few loud buildings in your day.
Sorry, I don't know what you said because I still can't hear from that match. One of the best environments I've been a part of this year.
Net violation point for the Cardinal.
From here on out, those are the errors that you cannot make. When you're tight against one of the best teams in the country, against the 2 seed, you have to play as clean as possible. Those errors cannot happen from here on out.
Ogilvie back to serve. 14 digs tonight for Ogilvie. Francis can't make Florida pay on the overpass. And then a net violation is called. Or no, over the net for Stanford.
This is a complete judgment call. If that ball is not in the plane of the net, you can't go up and reach it. This is not a play that is challengeable, though. So if the ref thinks that it's over the plane, or if she's trying to set it, can't do that.
Good call. Florida's defense at the net there once. And a touch on the swing by Rubin. Point Stanford.
In these big moments, Ellie Rubin might not be having the greatest offensive night, but she becomes their go-to attacker because they know they can rely on her in these big moments for Stanford.
Stuckey, Martin, great dig by Ogilvie to keep it up for Stanford. And the defense turns to offense for the Cardinal, and they're up by 1 here in the third.
Ellie Rubin is a complete gamer. When the match is close, when things are tight, she turns it up a notch and she begs for that ball.
That one will end up in the stands, and Stanford on top by 2. And a timeout called by Florida here in the third.
This is exactly who Stanford wants on that back line. Jordan Harvey is one of the toughest servers, not just on the Stanford team, but in the entire country. She drives this ball back. It is massive for Florida right now to get her off the service line as soon as possible and slow that momentum down.
Both teams hitting sub 200, so trying to grind it out here in the third set. And right now, advantage Stanford, 22-20. Florida with Alexis Stuckey, the setter tonight, with 30 assists. They have 35 kills, hitting 245 for the match. But now they're down by 2 late here in this third set. Keith.
Well, we know Alexis Stuckey has some of the strongest hands on court, but there's good reason for that. In September of last year, she went to dump a high and tight ball, and she landed on one foot like she's done 1,000 times before in practice, but this time her knee completely gave out. She later found out that, like both her parents had done before, she had torn her ACL and was out for 368 long days of what Stuckey calls having her legs taken away, which means endless days in the gym. She was sitting on a box working on just her hands. The assistant coaches CK Knopf and Dave Booz came up with all sorts of drills for Stuckey to work on during that time, from taking the ball high, staying neutral, inverting her wrist, just doing everything possible to train those hands while she couldn't use her feet.
SEC Freshman of the Year and a third-team All-American back in 2022, and she was clicking, as was Florida last year. Remember that Wisconsin match, and then she goes down with an injury. That was the first loss of the year for Florida, and they really tried to find their way as the season went along.
It was a heartbreaking time, not just for Stuckey, but this entire Florida program. They were rolling up until that point. They were up 2-0 against Wisconsin, who ended up reverse sweeping them, and kind of just their season ended up going downhill. It's so hard to recover when your heart and soul, the quarterback of your team, loses it.
Well, good timeout for the Gators, because Stanford with an error, and that makes it a 1-point third sets again. 12 service errors now for the Cardinal. 6 this set. McKissick to serve for the Gators. Francis drops another one in. 11 kills now for Sammy Francis.
That slide attack has been so impressive all night. She still doesn't have an error on it. The connection has been that good, and in these moments, it needs to continue to do that.
Here's Rubin. Gets the serve in. Parks on to set down. And that's down.
Park stepping in and putting up a beautiful ball for AC Fitzpatrick to put down. Now Stuckey will come back in. Looked like Mary Wise just wanted to chat with her starting setter for a second.
So Fitzpatrick picks up her 5th kill. Minor sets it back. Again, Sammy Francis having a monster match for this Stanford team, who has set point.
This is a moment where Stanford has to capitalize right now and do not even crack the door back open for the Gators.
That's how you do it. Stuckey sets it to August.
You put the ball right on the libero, that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to nail that pass, get the middle going, and August, who's been so good all night long, comes up clutch in a moment when Florida needs this one to save off a 2-1 deficit.
Set point number 2 for Stanford. Adams to serve. Stuckey, back row attack. Kennedy Martin, tied at 24.
Who else but Kennedy Martin? In the moments when it matters, she is the one that they love to go to. Front row, back row, they will find her anytime they can, and she'll deliver.
15th kill for Kennedy Martin, 2 shy of 1,000, and that one fights off a second Stanford set point and a timeout called by the Cardinals. So each team has used its allotment of timeouts here in this third set. It's Florida serving, tied at 24.
This is similar to what happened during set 1. Florida was able to battle back and end up squeaking it out 26-24. They've shown in these moments that they can step up. Now it's Stanford's turn. What can they do in these moments when it's tight? Who's going to be the one to step up?
Stanford already on the court. Kevin Hambley didn't talk too long to his team. They broke the huddle and came back on. Florida taking the full allotment here to make sure they're on the same page. Sammy Francis with 5 kills this set. She's on the sideline right now for the Cardinal.
One of Stanford's weaker rotations, Cami Minor's in the front court. She has Lizzie Andrew, a freshman up front, alongside E. Parker, a redshirt freshman.
So
Rubin in the backcourt if they need it.
If you're Florida, what is your goal here? It starts with a good serve, obviously, but what is your target for the Stanford team defensively?
You're going to go after E. Parker on this pass. Hopefully that ball is out of system, and then that middle. Right now, Auguste has to do a good job of closing.
Here's Adams. Does target Kurt, who handles it. Great job by Stanford. Kurt handled the pass, and Stanford put it away. They have set point number 3.
It's exactly what Stanford needed. When they can handle the pass, these middles are nearly unstoppable for Stanford.
Cami Minor to serve for the set. Handled by McKissick. Stuckey. Izzy Martin was denied. Martin tries again. Rubin's up with it. Kurt off of McKissick. Point Stanford. Set Stanford.
Young players stepping up for the Cardinal. First it's Lizzie Andrew getting the kill, then it's E. Parker showing that they can handle these big moments.
Stanford on their 3rd set point. They get the kill, and they win it 26-24. Florida took set 1. Stanford winning back-to-back sets. They'll try to put it away here in Louisville. Set 4 is next. Remember, Florida led 5-1, got off to a great start in set 3. Stanford battled back, very tight throughout. 13 ties, 5 lead changes in the end. It was a victory in set 3 for the Cardinal. Florida hit 229 in that 3rd set. Stanford, after hitting 317 in each of the first 2 sets, 268 in set 3. Their season average 322, good for 3rd in Division I. That's how elite they've been offensively. Float serve to start things here in the 4th, handled by Pringle, and the first point goes to the Cardinal.
Lizzie Andrew doesn't get a ton of sense. She's kind of their last offensive option, but when she does get set, she knows exactly what to do with it. What's the open hole in the court, and Andrew goes right to it.
Assist number 42 for Minor tonight. Ogilvy serves. Stuckey sets. Dug out by Pringle. Pringle again. Rubin not denied this time. Point Stanford.
This is what makes a good outside hitter. It might not be the first swing that you get, but you have to be able to stay in the play, take swing after swing to find that empty court.
And Elia Rubin is elite. First team all-conference selection. Team leader in kills per set. Izzy Martin gets the first point for the Gators.
Really great court awareness from Izzy Martin, seeing where that block was and just going right inside it.
I was having a listen into the Florida timeout as well, and Dave Luce was highly motivational. He was saying, this is the toughest team we have played possibly ever, but they're waiting for us to fall over. They obviously don't know us.
That's sent wide. Well, Florida has been a very gritty team. They haven't been 100% for any match this season. And again, in this match, we saw Cadan leave with an injury. There is the Florida assistant, Dave Booz. So that grit is going to be needed here because right now, the Cardinal in control to start set number 4.
A lot of times it's just that mindset change. You say, okay, you're playing one of the top teams in the country, the number 5 team overall, a 2 seed in this tournament, but we can hang with them. They've already shown for 2 sets, they are right there.
Overpass. How about that play? You know Francis is locked in when she's starting to play and finishing the play on that side of the net.
I mean, Francis has just got a smile on her face the entire night. She has been lights out offensively up front. Florida has not had an answer for either of Stanford's middles. Kennedy
Martin, no answer for that. Kill number 999 for the sophomore.
It's crazy finishing that sentence for the sophomore. They're basically at 1,000 kills. That is not something you see every day.
Big deep breath from Alexis Stuckey before the serve, and now it's in play. Francis again and again and again. Sammy Francis. Emily went through it before about how she hasn't been healthy throughout her career until this season. You can just look at her stats. It's like probably mirrors her medical chart. Like on the up right now and skyrocketing, and the sky's the limit right now.
It's like, how healthy is she? Just look at her stats year to year.
That one floats long, and a service error for Stanford. That's number 13.
Look, I've seen Stanford win matches when they've had 24, 25 service errors. It's something Hamley doesn't care about.
I'm trying to change my thinking. I see numbers go up, and I got to remind myself. Stanford's like, you can say 50. Well, maybe not 50, but you get the point.
Double called on Stanford's side, just a little ugly coming out of Miner's hands. But back to the serving point, it mirrors the men's game a lot, where the passing is so elite in the women's game now that you have to serve tough to knock opponents out of system. You're okay with a few too many errors.
Francis.
She's
that
human.
Is her first attack error of the match.
She's human.
14 kills on 31 swings, 1 error, and then it's a Florida service error. That's their 8th.
Sammy Francis leading the Stanford team in kills. That tells you a lot about the distribution that Cami Miner is setting. She is so even across the board, making sure to get every player involved and knowing when exactly to do it.
Yeah, really spreading the wealth. Great point. Francis leading the way with 14. Ruben, you'd expect with 13. Kurt having a really big match with 13. Harvey with 8. Great balance, but that's the key to the Stanford team. That's on a play, and you know who that was? Kennedy Martin, career kill number 1,000 in match number 53.
Just an absolutely elite player. For her sophomore season to hit that number tells you just how good she is and how dominant she's going to be for years to come.
Andrew answers right back.
That slide attack has been lethal, whether it's coming from Andrew or Francis going behind the setter. Cami Miner is feeding that any chance that she can.
Miner back to serve for the Cardinal, up 2-1. That one is off the floor, unable to save it was Ogilvy, so it's a point for the Gators.
Beautiful play on Florida's side, nailing that pass, getting the middle going. Easy one and done.
Let's see if Martin unleashes the high velocity serve here. Something on it. Kurt hung in the air and got the kill. That's 14.
If Florida's going to leave her that much line, Parker is going to take advantage of it. A massive seam right down that line. She rips it.
Her career high 20. That was at Georgia Tech. It was a reverse sweep as Stanford was facing a match point against the Yellow Jackets. Fought that off and then ended up, thanks in large part to what Kurt did, picking up the win. How about the save? Martin got there. McKissick got it over. McKissick, another one up. That one's long. No touch. Point Stanford.
Defensive effort on Florida's side. Kennedy Martin basically going in the stands for that play. It helps when you're 6'6", you got a little bit more reach. Then McKissick in the backcourt just eating that one up.
Kurt missed the mark.
She's really just targeting Kennedy Martin in the back row. She's trying to play dodgeball back there. So dodge, duck, dip, dodge, dodge.
Adams back on the serve. Panan has her right leg extended on the bench for Florida in support mode. It certainly would appear the rest of the way here. It's over. Ruben to Miner to Ruben. And Stuckey at the net with the block.
Solo stuff from the setter. That'll get your team fired up and back in this match. A beautiful read from Stuckey, getting inside that play, knowing her middle's nowhere to be found.
A reminder, Stuckey 6'2", has great size, has never been a liability at the net. Another point for the Gators.
Good blocking adjustment for Florida, taking away that line. Jordan Harvey's really been trying to rip that line time and time again. Better adjustment from the Gators.
3-0 run for Florida. Andrew off hands and a point for Stanford. That ends the run.
Florida needs to find a way to slow down Stanford's middles. They have to do a better job on their side, identifying when it's a good pass and getting 2 up.
Francis is back on. Andrew into double figures now with 10 kills. That is a new career high for the freshman. Left hand from the freshman middle for the Gators. August, 50.
August has been impressive so far tonight. When she's available in transition, they are finding her, getting her going.
She's in the double figure kills with 10. Set a new career high against Kansas in that memorable win for Florida in round 2. Beautifully done, hanging in the air and getting the finish is Ilya Rubin for the Cardinal.
Rubin isn't having the greatest efficiency night. It's been difficult for her to come by kills, but still, she's already at 13, finding ways to crawl out of it. She's getting a lot of sets.
T-by 42 swings for Rubin. That's sent back. Francis and Minor at the net.
Minor getting involved on the block too. It helps when you've got a really good middle closing to you, gives you that confidence to go up strong.
That one goes long. Service error for Stanford. Brings it back to a 1-point advantage for the Cardinal.
Service error number 15 on the Cardinal side.
You notice I stopped the tally thinking it was time for you just to take it for a while.
I was picking up what you were putting down there.
I got you. Guess who? Sammy Francis. Kill number 15. That leads Stanford tonight.
At this point, Florida has to make some kind of adjustment, especially when Francis is front row. Put a commit block out, because every play that she is getting, she has one or she has a big seam, and she's putting it down every time.
What's the adjustment? What would you do right now if you're Florida?
I would automatically send my middle out with her every time on that slide attack, on a good pass.
Parks on the set, sets it to Kennedy Martin, who chops it down for her 18th kill.
Kennedy Martin going clear over the setter up front in Cami Minor. Look how high she gets up there. She's going over. Nothing you can do about that one. That's what 6'6" gets you.
Easy Martin serves. Kirk missed the mark. Tied at 14. Played at UNLV the last 2 seasons. Big part of the Gators' success this season with the serve, and a chance here for Kennedy Martin. Ogilvy pushing Francis out of the way. Kirk misses the mark again. 5th attack error for E-Park. Hurts. Florida up 15-14, and I see the green card out for Kevin Hambley. Oh, looking for a net violation, perhaps.
Stanford is challenging that there was a net fault. Original call, no net fault.
All right, we'll see if someone from Florida made contact.
Was that net moving? Definitely wasn't the ball, because E-Park Kurt clearly hit that ball up and out of bounds. Take a look at this. If anyone is coming down off the top of the tape, off the block. Net is definitely moving.
I see a little ripple, yes. And there's no one from Stanford near the net. As you pointed out, the ball is nowhere near the Florida block.
And that net is definitely moving. It also could have been the left leg of Thomas.
All right, guys, nothing scientific here, but you know I love to add my opinion when it comes to middle blockers. And I'm thinking that's a touch, that inside arm. Even with the sleeves on, she had to have felt that.
You thought there was a touch? It didn't look like the ball was anywhere near it.
No, touching the net.
Oh, touching the net. I'm sorry.
Yep, that's my opinion.
Kia, I agree. It seemed like that left arm of the middle just coming right down on top of it.
Ball on the floor to be reversed. Net fault on Florida. Stanford retains the challenge.
Well, let's see. Emily is 4 for 4. Key, you're now 1 for 1 on your expert analysis on reviews. Timeouts here in the fourth. With Coco Kirsch. Once again, Taylor Parks is out there setting now for the Gators here in set 4. Parks goes to who else but Kennedy Martin for the kill.
Expect Florida to continue to get Kennedy Martin going, especially in these tight situations when they're trying to upset yet another team in the tournament. She has to be the one to turn it on and take over.
Martin led the way with 33 kills in their upset of 3-seed Kansas in 5 sets. Minor. Kurt. Rolls it over. Minor for Andrew. Sent back by the Gators, who are on top by 1.
Better read on Florida's side, more of a misconnect on Stanford's between Minor and Andrew. That connection's been so good all night.
Here's what's at stake. Florida and Stanford, two of the most successful teams in NCAA tournament play. Martin off the block. McKissick couldn't get there. Stanford with their 5th block.
That's exactly when Stanford needed, especially from a player like Cami Minor, who knows that she's going to be targeted on that right side. Beautiful finish.
Minor to serve, even at 16. Stanford up 2 sets to 1. It's going to be an ace. Fitzpatrick couldn't handle it, and Cami Minor has the ace. That is ace number 6 on the night for Stanford.
This is when the tough serving pays off. They do a great job driving this ball back and picking apart serve receives.
First ace for Minor to go along with their 50 assists tonight. Another tough one. And it works out pretty well for the Gators. Didn't look like it was shaping up very well for Florida, but it turned out pretty well in the end.
And Harvey in the right spot to make that play, just misidentifying where the ball was by a little bit.
Here's Martin. Florida without an ace tonight. Rubin handles the serve. And that one drops in for a Stanford point. The Cardinal on top by 1.
Really smart play by Jordan Harvey, identifying where the defense was, seeing middle back was shifting left, and pushing this ball back to the corner in the 1-6 seam between right and middle back.
Kurt.
That's huge to get Kurt off the service line, whether it comes from an error or siding out for Florida. One of Stanford's best servers now. That relieves a lot of pressure on Florida's side.
Stanford has doubled up Florida in the service error department, 16-8.
Even though Kennedy Martin is back row for Florida, still look for them to get her the ball.
Minor for Harvey.
Harvey's been stepping up in these massive moments, and what's been more impressive is that she's not tipping or putting half swings up there. She is unloading on these plays.
That's 5 Cardinals with double-figure kills tonight.
Tells you just how balanced
You've
this
been
offense
talking about
is.
the balance right from the very start, and that has been the case here this evening in round 3 of the tournament. August got it over for a Florida point. They're the first to 20 here in the 4th.
Sometimes you don't have to be good, you just have to be a little bit lucky. That one bouncing right off the tape and falling on Stanford's side. The Cardinal just has to shake that one off, nail this pass inside out.
Correction, I got a little ahead of myself. 19 all here. That's Hoyle with the serve. Oh, Elia Rubin got a lot into it, but it's a violation, so it's a point for Florida. Net violation called on Stanford. They try it again. This time, Rubin gets the point, and this time it will count. 20 all.
That's a great decision from Cami Minor for her player that just made the error. Go right back to her, give her that confidence to take another big swing and get the point.
Here's Jordan Harvey, maybe the most aggressive server on this team. Overpass and a point for Stanford. Francis at the net.
The tough serving pays off. Jordan Harvey putting in a bullet from the end line. That causes an overpass, and then Stanford's front line there, locked and loaded, always ready to put it down, knowing that their team is always bringing heat from the end line.
Florida taking a timeout. Stanford 4 points away from moving on to the regional final. So this is day one. I love how it's spread out because we were sitting in front of our TVs this afternoon at 1 o'clock watching Kentucky knock off Mizzou in 4 sets. The big story, Brooklyn DeLay with the 22 kills, hit 419. She had 3 aces in the match as well in that 4-set win. So Kentucky's won 14 in a row. And Pitt and Oregon, an instant classic. Second set, Oregon fought off a set point to win. They rolled in set 4, and then in set 5, Pittsburgh wins it. Olivia Babcock, 31 kills. So Pittsburgh wins it to improve to 32-1 on the season. Coming up tomorrow, Texas, 2-time defending national champions, will open up play against Creighton, a team that's won 24 in a row. That'll get things going tomorrow.
I am so excited to watch that Texas and Creighton game. It's going to be probably one of the best that we're going to see in regionals, and we're getting it early on in this round of 16. But it has been such a fun day already, and for what's to come, it tells you how good it's going to be.
Can Florida put together a comeback here? They're down by 1 and down 2 sets to 1, Key.
Well, I was listening into the Gator timeout, and one of the big adjustments they're going to make is get the libero touching more balls. C.K. Knopf, who is a former libero herself, said, hey, I want to see Ellie McKissick in the middle of the court taking all the space, make a big shift.
McKissick in serve receive. On the slide, mishit by the freshman August. And Stanford's up 22-20.
Florida made that adjustment. McKissick taking up half the court, took that ball perfectly, just missed time on that slide. Timeout
Called by Florida, so they use their final timeout of this 4th set. Stanford 3 points away from winning the match. 3-0 run right now for Stanford. Remember, Florida was the first team to get to 20 at 2019, but the Cardinal scoring 3 straight. Again, the balance. Francis with a team high 16 kills to lead the way. Her career high 19. 15 for Rubin, 15 for Kurt, 10 for Harvey, 10 for the freshman Lizzie Andrew, a career high.
So impressive the way that Cami Minor's been able to distribute this offense, get everyone involved, and make sure she knows exactly when to do it. And so many players hitting incredibly efficiently. Lizzie Andrew just 10 kills, but she's in 643 on the night as a freshman in a regional semifinal. This is a moment for Florida to really figure out who they're made of. So many players on this team aren't going to come back next season. So is this going to be their last chance and their last few points in a Florida jersey? Or can they find a way to make that push and fend it off?
McKissick, Izzy Martin, AC Fitzpatrick. We've seen Trinity Adams play quite a bit here tonight. Hoping that this isn't it for them. Jordan Harvey to serve again. 3-0 run for Stanford. To McKissick. Sent back by Minor. Izzy Martin tries again. That's off hands, and the Gators get a much-needed point.
Great decision to put the ball in the hands of a player who could be playing her last game potentially in a Florida jersey, but not if she has anything to say about it. The redshirt senior, she wants to take over.
Big spot here for the freshman Taylor Parks with the serve. Minor to Francis, dug out by Parks. Kennedy Martin bumps it over. Minor sets it back for Francis. Great save by McKissick to get it over. Florida showing some of that grit, and Martin showing some of that power.
Big swing from an elite player at a time when Florida needed it most. Massive swing from Kennedy Martin gets the job done. These are the kind of swings you have to have in these moments. Stanford, 2 tips during that rally. Those are not going to win you the game. You have to take big swings, just like Kennedy Martin did.
20 kills for Martin. That means she has gone for 20 or more for a 13th time this season. Joined the 1,000 kill club earlier tonight. So Florida and Stanford tied at 22. Stanford using the timeout as the Gators have put together back-to-back points. Purdue and Louisville waiting in the wings to play match 2 here tonight at Freedom Hall.
Expect Florida to give pretty much every single ball to Kennedy Martin. The Gator team ride or dies by her. They will get her the ball in these stressful, high-pressure, tight situations. And most of the time, she delivers for this team. And in a moment, she needs to do it right now.
Florida closed the regular season with back-to-back losses at South Carolina and at Georgia. They had won 10 in a row before then, but then they go to Lawrence. They sweep NC State. They beat the number 3 seed Kansas in 5. They were down 12-11 in the 5th set to the Jayhawks and came back to win. So this team has had their backs up against the wall and fought back and won. Can they do it here and force a 5th set against the Cardinal?
Note Sammy Francis still in the front court for Stanford.
Parks serves it to Rubin. Overpass. Point. Gators.
What a serve in the backcourt from Taylor Parks, forcing that overpass. Then it's the middle that finds a way to get it done, puts it down.
We talked about how good Parks has been serving all season long. Another good serve here for Florida. 3-0 run for the Gators. A chance to add to it here. Martin. Ogilvy with the save. Minor over. That one is off the mark. We're tied at 23.
This is when the defensive intensity picks up. Expect nothing to hit the floor as both teams will do all they can to lay out and keep these balls up.
Elia Rubin to serve. Tied at 23. Parks. Martin gets it over. Minor for Francis. Match point, Stanford. '17th kill for Sammy Francis. Rubin serving for the match. Martin says not yet. You have to win by 2, and Martin made sure of it.
Florida ride or dies by that player right there. Expect them to keep feeding her the ball because she lives for these moments. Kennedy Martin is an absolute gamer.
Francis, no. Set point, Florida. Timeout, Stanford. The Gators survived a match point. Martin got the kill. Then the attack error by Francis. Stanford out of timeouts. Florida out of timeouts. Florida trying to make it to a regional final for an 18th time. Stanford trying to get there for a 32nd time. They've been to a record 24 national semifinals, a record 17 title match appearances, winning a record 9 NCAA tournament titles. The tournament history outstanding for the Cardinal. Since Kevin Hambly's been head coach, now in his 8th season, they've won 2 national championships. But right now, his team is facing a set point. Florida pushing back after falling behind 24-23. Martin the kill to tie it at 24, and now they come onto the court with a chance to send it to a fifth set.
What a response from Florida. Down 22-20 here in the fourth. Backs against the wall, down 2-1 in this match, and who's stepping up? That's Kennedy Martin. She's had 3 kills since then, trying to take over and will her team to a fifth set.
I was listening to Coach Handley again. He said the one thing to pay attention to, Martin, that ball is absolutely going there. He wants 2 blockers up on it.
Minor at the net. Big swing. Freshman in name only. Ipar Kurt playing like a veteran with the big swing to fight off a set point.
It's these moments that Ipar Kurt turns it up a notch, and Cami Minor knows that in the front row. She's got 2 great options in Lizzie Andrew and Ipar Kurt, 2 young players, but have shown they can handle this.
A reminder, you need to win by 2 as Taylor Yu serves to McKissick. Sent back, Martin, handled by Harvey. Kurt, a little off balance. That's a double over. Set point number 2 for Florida.
And that's a judgment call, just coming off a little bit not clean off of Ipar Kurt's hands. Not a play you can challenge.
So you can see Francis checks out and the freshman Lizzie Andrew checks in. McKissick, set point number 2 for Florida. Good serve. Chance here for the Gators. McKissick to Martin. Sent back by the Cardinal. They fight off a second set point.
Huge play from the freshman middle blocker, Lizzie Andrew, stepping up when this team needed it, closing that block against the hitter that she knew exactly where that ball was going.
Cami Minor serves for Stanford. Point for the Cardinal. They called it before the officials did, and so they have a second match point. Mary Wise has the green challenge card out, and she will challenge this and huddle up with her team.
Look, all I know is someone was definitely in the net based on how that net was moving. Initially called that Auguste came grabbing it on the way down. We'll get another look at it.
Florida's challenging that the block of Stanford was in the net. The original call was the hitter of Florida in the net.
The question also now becomes who is in the net first, because Stanford might have been in the net, but if Auguste was in the net before them, then it would still be a point to Stanford. And based on that follow through,
It looks like Auguste on the follow through,
Call
right?
is confirmed. Net Florida. Stanford point.
Very quick
Florida
review.
will lose their challenge.
You can see clearly on the follow through. So Auguste into the net, and it is match point number 2 for the Cardinal. Service errors may not matter in Stanford's eyes, but they have come at terrible times. First set and now the fourth set. Minor trying to make amends with the set. McKissick kept it up. Oh, what a play going over the scores table. Fitzpatrick kept it alive, but only for the moment. Playing in her final game for Florida in a knee brace, went flying into the table at full speed and is laughing about it.
despite getting the point, those are the plays that you see from players who could potentially be in their last match in this kind of jersey. That kind of effort from your fifth years.
Match point number 3. Pringle to serve for the match. Tough one at the net. Fitzpatrick gets it over. Chance here. Minor sets it. And the kill! Rubin ends it. And for a 32nd time, Stanford will play an regional final. Ellie McKissick 5th year as Florida's libero. Gave it her all here tonight. She was flying all over the floor with a smile as she heads off. Her Florida career coming to a close. What a battle by the Gators.